Hi there, and welcome to Memories from Scratch, a series where I, a novice home person who cooks, tries to quantify my family's recipes to honor their legacy and preserve their memories for future generations to come. This first season will focus on recipes from my mom so that her granddaughter will always remember her. Today, I wanted to figure out how to make my mom's Arepa de Choclo, or sweet corn arepas. The word arepa is roughly translated to corn cake. I feel that this translation is a bit rough because I think people think of it as a cake, but it's enjoyed more like a flatbread would be, but made from corn flour. It's typically eaten in Colombia and Venezuela. There are many ways to prepare arepas, one of which is by making arepas de choclo, which is the arepa I'll be making today. These arepas are made from sweet corn instead of the typical white corn. They are much sweeter in taste and have a bright yellow color thanks to the sweet corn. I'm a huge arepa lover, but Arepa de Choclo has always been my favorite. My mom would make it for me on special occasions or on lazy weekends for a filling and yummy breakfast. Most of this recipe is done with the help of a blender. And though the sound of the blender would usually wake me up, I also knew that sound meant I was going to start my day with a fantastic meal, so I didn't mind being woken up too much. One thing I realized while making this recipe is that I'm a bit of a mess in the kitchen. Not very demure of me. Not very mindful. I hastily cut the kernels off and got juice everywhere. It was a real fun time cleaning that afterwards. When I put the kernels into the bowl, I accidentally threw some into the sink as well, just because I wasn't being careful enough. So to my niece, if you're watching this in the future, take your time and try to cook with a bit more care. It's okay to make a mess, and it's okay to make mistakes, but sometimes taking an extra second or an extra step can go a long way. Because there's egg in the batter, you can't really taste the batter as is because, salmonella exists. But if you cook the first one, it's a little sample one, you get everything heated, and you can see if it has the amount of seasonings that you like. I'll also say that when you make this, the first arepa usually doesn't turn out too well. But it's a great way to test out the flavor of the Arepa de Choclo. Cook it, taste it, see if you want it saltier, see if you'd like it sweeter. This is the time to see how you want it seasoned. This time, I kind of liked it as is. I don't have much of a sweet tooth. I prefer things a bit more on the savory side. But if you want this recipe sweeter or a bit more salty, this is the time to check the seasoning and check the sugar and salt levels of your Arepa de Choclo. It can be tough to know when to flip the arepa, but my advice is to treat it like a pancake. When you see some bubbles in the middle and the edges look like they're drying out a bit, that is when you should flip the arepa the first time. That shows that one side is cooked enough to flip without falling apart. To know it's fully done, press the middle with a spatula slightly. Don't push too hard, you could break it, so be gentle, but it should feel solid, not too mushy, not too soft. If it's cooking a bit too quickly on the outside without cooking on the inside, turn the heat down just a bit. Another tip I recommend, it's not gonna be necessary every single time you make Arepa de Choclo, but at least for our stove, I've found that, covering the Arepa de Choclo with a lid helps the inside to cook faster so that it doesn't burn as quickly. So that's something I've noticed with my stove, but you might not have to do that with yours. I am a huge fan of sweet and salty, so I loaded my Arepa de Choclo with 2 types of cheeses, a low moisture mozzarella for stretch, and then a bit of queso fresco on top for saltiness. My roommate enjoyed hers with vegan cheese as she is dairy free. We tried to melt that one too, but it didn't work out too well. Maybe in a few years, science will figure out how to make vegan cheese more melty. But until then, we did the best we could to melt it. Surprisingly, the Arepa de Choclo came out tasting quite similar to my mom's. I think I still need to work on the cooking part. Some of the arepas got a bit burnt on the outside. I mean, that's fine for me. I think the flavor was still good. I think for me it was just finding the right heat level because it was cooking a lot faster on the outside than on the inside. So that's something I have to figure out, but I think I'm, at least flavor-wise, I think I've got it down. It's just the actual cooking part that I'm still struggling a bit with. So hopefully next time I'm able to control the heat a bit better and get a more even cooking on my arepas. Thank you all so much for watching today. If you decide to make this recipe, let me know how it goes for you. And if you're an expert in making arepas de choclo and have any advice for me on how I could improve mine, I'd love to hear it. I know I'm not very good at cooking, so I'd love any advice. Just be nice about it, be gentle. And, don't forget to tell someone how much you love them today. Thank you so much.